Thanks, Henry. There is a place in Nigel Farage's heart for Arizona, which he personally is helping to keep free. Free from who or what, we've got no idea, but the gig pays about 12 grand for a speech, so it's nice work if you can find a moment in your busy schedule of doing 7 other jobs. In Wales, a cycle race was put in danger because of the 20-mile-an-hour rule, which doesn't even apply to bikes. In Cornwall, the stupid crime of the century takes place, and Donald Trump will visit Clacton, and that's a promise. And if you believe that, I have a pier I'd like to sell you. That and more coming up with me, Nick Abbot, after the new news at 10 on LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global. Leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
I'm not a big fan of his brand.
Well, let's get back to it.
Revellers at Leeds Festival were told to stay in their tents as Storm Lillian brought 80-mile-an-hour winds to Britain. But as Liam Gallagher was the headline act, it was probably more entertaining to stay in their tents. I mean, I'm not saying that Liam Gallagher is boring, but, well, right, I am saying that Liam Gallagher is boring with his zipped-up cagoules and his nasally whine.
Stop whining.
And doing what sounds like the same song over and over and over again. I mean, Oasis were bad enough. I saw them live. They were so dull I started watching the audience, who were properly funny. Middle-aged, beery blokes, dad dancing to slow rock music.
Booze.
I mean, it amused me more than the Festival of Bad Attitude pouring off the stage from a geezer with his hands behind his back, whining into a microphone that had been set up about a foot too high. You'll get a crick in your neck there, Liam. What a noise this thing up here is making. Blimey, I'm going to have to sort that out straight away. You just don't know what kind of a racket it's going to be till you get on the air. Oh, that's better. I do believe I do believe I fixed it. Other acts the poor people in Leeds might have to miss because of the storm include, but are not limited to, Catfish, The Bottlemen, 21 Savage, Pendulum, Bruce C and Luca State. And I know what you're thinking. Not Catfish and The Bottlemen, 21 Savage, Pendulum, Bruce C and Luca State.
Oh, no.
2 stages of the annual Rock and Pop event have been stopped following flights and train services being cancelled this morning as a fierce Storm Lillian, which doesn't sound that fierce, let's be honest. Storm Lillian wrought chaos across the country. A little light weather and the whole country falls flat on its face. The M48-7 bridge was closed in both directions. British Airways has axed flights and trains have been cancelled due to the weather. Trams have been delayed or suspended. Basically just your typical bank holiday weekend, when you're blown across the railway station by the force of the apologies for the dismal service coming from the tannoy system.
I am very sorry that I screwed up.
Totally screwed up.
I mean, I am so sorry. You just don't know how sorry I am. I'm sorry.
On behalf of the rail network, we would like to apologise. The following trains have been cancelled for your convenience. Several videos emerged of music lovers waking up to shaking tents at Leeds. Shaking, if the tent's rocking, don't come knocking.
Disgusting.
Shaking tents? You believe that? Well, I'll go back to the beginning and start again. Several videos emerged of music lovers waking up to shaking tents at Leeds Festival today as one was spotted flying sky high. That is, the tent was sky high, not the music lover. Although, to be honest, it could have been both.
Want to score some pot?
Hey, kids, just say no. In fact, just say no thank you. I mean, good manners don't cost nothing, do they?
Be polite.
One Leeds festival goer described it as the worst day ever, as her tent was destroyed. Literally, no one in the history of the human race has ever suffered so much as that festival goer, who might actually miss Pendulum's performance. That's just a fact. And by the way, Pendulum, it sounds like a pretty old name for a rock band to me. Like they should be on tour with Steel Eye Span or gong, somebody like that.
Rock and roll!
And the kids will be saying things like, "Oh, steel, I span and gong, Grandad." Grandad? Why, you little... The RAC estimated that 19.2 million leisure trips by car will be made over the weekend. Each and every one of them by a crazy person. This is the highest since the motoring services company began recording data for the summer break holiday in 2015. But to be fair, they're just guessing because the whole weekend hasn't happened yet. 19.2 million leisure trips by car, and there won't be much leisure to be had in those vehicles. RAC breakdown spokesmodel Alice said the adverse weather and large volumes of expected trips represent a perfect storm for drivers. She said, "Anyone driving in areas impacted by Storm Lillian should try to speed up and ignore the posted restrictions, because speed limits are for other people, not you. You are cool and should drive however you want. It's your right," said RAC breakdown spokesmodel Alice. Of course, if you are driving wearing a baseball cap, then you are already doing all this.
Thank you.
End of August, first week in September. Oh, I'm going to jump straight to the long-range forecast. I mean, it's going to be, a little bit of rain, a little bit of sun this weekend. I don't really know. I'm making this part up. But I do have the long-range forecast for the next 4 weeks. Would you like to hear it?
No.
At first, okay, this is the end of August, first week in September. Holy macaroni, it's almost the end of summer.
What?
Yeah, you believe that? It's almost Jesus' birthday. End of August, first week in September. At first, central and northwestern parts of the UK will be cloudy and in a certain northwest area, rainy, I bet. I mean, I could check on that while you wait. One moment, please. Checking for those listeners in the north and the west who ordinarily have their own weather. Just a moment. Aha! Oh. Well, it's raining at the moment in Glasgow. Do not call me and tell me it isn't, because this app says it is. It will also be raining on Saturday and raining on Sunday and... Oh, what? Not raining on Monday? Rubbish. Oh, no, there it is. Starting at 11 o'clock on Monday night, it starts to rain again. So they're lying about that. It'll be raining considerably on Tuesday, and raining on Wednesday, and raining on Thursday, and raining on Friday, and raining on Saturday, and raining on Sunday. This is now Sunday, the 1st of September. So it'll be raining all the way through the rest of August in Glasgow. And then, for September, also raining. Raining on the Sunday, and raining on Monday, and raining on Tuesday, and, penciled in a sunny day on Wednesday. That's Wednesday, the 4th of September. You want to mark it down in your diary. Get out some, get out your dampest clothes. You might be able to dry them off. The steam will be pouring off you. There's more. So that's the end of August, first week in September. Central and northwestern parts cloudy and a little bit rainy. The southeast, meanwhile, will begin fine and settled and is signalled to become very warm or hot. I don't know what the difference between those two is, but I like the sound of both of them. And it will be mostly drier than warmer than average. Mostly. And then, middle 2 weeks of September. I can't believe I'm saying that. Where's the summer gone? This isn't fair. Not that I'm complaining or anything. You know me. Middle 2 weeks of September, you ready? Could go either way. It's felt like instant autumn just lately, hasn't it? Middle 2 weeks of September, a good deal of dry and settled weather is likely, probably drier than average. A good deal of dry and settled weather is likely, probably drier than average. We'll take it. Mary Tex just had an email from a store to inform me that Advent calendars are now on sale. It's only August, says Mary. And she's completely correct about that, by the way. And you know what that means? It's nearly Jesus' birthday, says Mary. An email from a store to inform her that Advent calendars are now on sale. Ahmed says, will the government give the constituents of Clacton-on-Sea a discount on plane tickets to America if they have to fly there to speak... This is perfectly reasonable. And Ahmed has done a lot of thinking about this. He says, will the government give the constituents of Clacton-on-Sea a discount on plane tickets to America if they have to fly there to speak to their if they have to fly there to speak to their local MP face to face?
Nigel Farage is not fit and proper to be in government.
Just asking questions, says Ahmed. Yeah, he's just asking questions, that's all. He's just, posing some, like a quizzical face. He's all like, Just asking I think it's very interesting, though, that Nigel Farage has not denied that. We're just asking questions. Caroline says, why do storms have names and why do they always seem to be female? Well, they aren't. The storms have names because... I don't know. What are you asking me for? Do I sound like a meteorologist to you? I think storms have names after a certain level of intensity, don't they? So that people can refer to them and say that, Storm Belinda did this or that. And every time you meet somebody henceforth called Belinda, you can boo in their face. No! Say meteorologists. And I don't think they are all female. I think that is incorrect information on your part. I think they swap them, don't they? One male and then one female, like chairs around the dining table at a parents' dinner party. Yeah, I think it's one female and then one male, something there or thereabouts. So Caroline is not telling the truth about that. Liar! Nigel says, Oasis, can't agree more, Nick, the most overrated band ever. The best joke in the film yesterday was no Beatles and hence no Oasis. Oh, I still haven't seen that film. And I do believe that he has now ruined it for us. That's the film where... OK, spoiler alert.
Warning, warning.
As far as I'm aware, that's the film where some bloke wakes up and realises that the Beatles never existed. And even though I haven't seen it, I think that will probably go along the lines of he then sings these amazing songs and people can't quite believe that all this stuff is pouring out of him. And he gets the girl in the end. Did I get that right? 0345 6060 973. Darlington. Hello, Wayne. Wayne? Wayne? Wayne?
Hello?
Yes, Wayne.
Can you hear me?
No?
With that? Hello?
Yeah, let me think about that for a moment. Let me use my vast experience of being on the radio and think about what my response there is.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, see you later. Better luck next time. Sam says, I agree. What are you talking about? I haven't said anything yet. He says, I agree it's going to take a long time for Labour to sort the last government's mess out. But that's even more reason to introduce progressive policies as early as possible. They're not giving the impression that's their intention so far, says Sam, who's joined the long list of people who are disappointed at the new regime. Well, here's the truth of it. The new regime haven't even started yet. It's as though they pulled a Boris. They got elected and then immediately went on holiday. Can you believe that?
I can't comment on that.
Blah, blah, blah. That's the ex-Prime Minister of this country, who has been reduced now to writing silly articles behind a paywall in the Mail about... I've got absolutely no idea. If you think I'm going to pay to read that man's words, you've got another thing coming. Claire says, I've been watching the American election DNC on The Daily Show. It reminded me a few weeks ago of your saying it's like light beating dark or something similar. I totally agree. It's great. I hope you've managed to see it too. No, I have not managed to see it. I saw clips of the DNC thing and it seemed like the opposite of this.
The American dream is dead.
Why would you want to vote for that guy? I mean, seriously, people of America, I am actually curious. Those who still intend to vote for that guy, what has actually gripped your mind? I mean, I know that a lot of people there joined a cult, and it must be quite dispiriting to see the cult leader disintegrate before your eyes. But what is it now that you find so delightful, so winning? Is it the way he says, "Bing bong," or is it something else? Former CIA Director Leon... Wait a minute, what time it is? Oh, no, got to wait. If I don't go away, I won't be able to come back again. That's just a fact. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC. Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
He's a great guy. He's a good guy. He's a good person.
Thanks, Donny. You're the best. You're the best evil Oompa Loompa ever. Former CIA Director Leon Panetta issued a stark warning about Donald Trump, stating that he poses a significant threat to global security if re-elected in November. During his speech at the Democratic National Convention on Thursday night, former CIA Director Leon Panetta gave a damning assessment to the Republican Bright Orange presidential nominee.
I'd like to punch him in the face.
Panetta served as the CIA chief for 2 years under Barack Obama. You remember Barack Obama, don't you? And he directed the 2011 special op mission to take out Osama bin Laden in Pakistan in a place called Abbot. No relation. Nothing to do with me. He warned that if Trump returns to the Oval Office, he would abandon our allies and isolate America. Trump tells tyrants like Putin they can do whatever the hell they want, says former CIA director and full-time woke lefty Leon Panetta. I mean, there'll have to be some way in which the Trumpists make the former CIA director into a woke lefty. The 86-year-old, he's 86 years old. He served as Defense Secretary from 2011 to 2013 during his last role in the White House. He went on to recall his experiences eliminating bin Laden with great vengeance. Addressing the crowd, he said, "I am proud to have served in the Army, Congress, the White House, Chief of Staff, CIA Director, and Secretary of Defense." He's a very low IQ individual. He said, "I've looked into the eyes of our warriors and deployed them into battle. I gave the order directing our Special Operations Forces to fly 2 helicopters 150 miles into Abbot. Nothing to do with me. He did it at night. By the time the sun rose, Osama bin Laden was dead. We're going to come on low out of the rising sun. And about an hour out... No, got that wrong. And about a mile out, we're going to turn on the music." I've got to see that film again. I need a refresher. He said, and he did all of this, looked into the eyes of the warriors, deployed them into battle, gave the order, and Osama bin Laden was, And he did all this because nobody attacks our country and gets away with it. That's what he said. Well, the thing is... correct me if I'm wrong, but Donald Trump attacked the country and he seems to have gotten away with it.
Oh, shut up!
He said, "We need Kamala Harris in the White House, not Donald Trump." The loony, lefty, woke former CIA Director Leon Panetta said, "We need Kamala Harris in the White House. She knows a tyrant when she sees one, and our allies know a leader when they see one." He said she has looked into she has looked our allies in the eye and said, "America has your back," as opposed to the screaming Mimi, who would do anything anyone wants, who tells him he has nice hair and his hands are big, and who come bearing gifts. You have a choice, America. Go with a man who represents all that is dark and evil in the world, who talks of death and mayhem, and who picked the world's weirdest human to be his running mate. A job that only became open because Donny's fans tried to kill the last one. Or you could come into the light, where helping others is not called communism by billionaires, it's called being neighbourly by normal folk. Basically, America, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is not be a ding-a-ling. Can you do it? We'll find out in November, I suppose. 0345 6060 973. Merthyr Tydfil. Hello, Jeff.
Hiya, Nick. Abbot.
Yeah, you believe that?
You can't believe it, can you? Anyway,
have you been cycling quickly?
No, actually, I've been observing England from Wales, from the mountains up here.
Because the big story from Wales, I don't know whether you've caught up with this or not, is that there was a cycling race in Wales that has been curtailed somewhat because of the 20-mile-an-hour default speed limit.
Yep, I know about it because it was in the Goose and Cuckoo and they passed it.
In the Goose and Cuckoo? Really?
Yep. It's very strange. There's another one going from Land's End to John O'Groats. I didn't know. Anyway, they passed the pub as well. So it's up this very, very narrow lane. I never thought that it'd be anything like it passing, but they did. Anyway, I was looking. What I was thinking, Nick, is this. As I contemplated England from Wales, as I looked across to the more than 70 miles, and there you all were, and I was thinking, are you sure about this? You're locking up thousands of, these guys who very stupidly, idiotically went and attacked the police in a stupid, ridiculous way.
It's because they were patriotic. Get it right. No, I can't get to the end of that.
No, me. The thing is, I'm not sure about locking them up like this. You're locking up thousands. There is a threat there that you could make martyrs out of them. I'm not sure about it.
Martyrs. Yeah, okay, sure. Martyrs, yeah. Are you being serious, or?
I'm not sure about it.
Right, I'm
just looking at you.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Nick, we're on about the weather, okay? I'm looking at this very amusing thing. I think it was on. I'm not sure what it was on Facebook, something like that. And this family were trying to put a tent up in Yorkshire. And it sort of disintegrated and
flew away on the wind.
The mother was in the tent.
Alongside the trampoline from next door's garden. Yeah, that'll teach him.
Yep. So it's quite amusing, this weather. But I keep telling you, and you don't listen. You've got to look at the sea temperatures. It's not burning Europe or burning Canada. It's not the land, it's the sea temperatures.
That's right. When the sea temperatures get too warm, then the Atlantic gyre will come to a halt. And that is the thing that brings warm weather with it, which means that in this country, which is on the same latitude as New York and North America, where they get
actually Churchill.
Wait a minute. Where they get 12. I'm on a roll here. Wait, just 1 minute.
Okay.
Where they get 12 feet of snow in the wintertime, and it's absolutely blooming freezing. Here, it's mild, and that's the reason why. It's the Atlantic gyre, and many of the things that I've just said, I totally made up because I can't remember the specifics of what it is, but it's something like that.
We're on the same line. You know that line that goes round the earth.
Yes.
You're on the same line as Churchill on the Hudson, the Big Bay, in North Canada, where they have polar bears problems.
Right. Yes.
The permafrost.
I think I just said
on
that.
The same line as that.
Right.
And if this
do you mean latitude?
Yeah, that's the one.
Not line, it's latitude.
You've been doing your homework.
No.
Yes, you have.
No, I just went to Greenwich this last week, that's all.
Okay.
You can ask me anything about international time, and I promise I won't know the answer. Go ahead.
And that is literally what will happen to us if that gyre, as you call it, which used to be called the North Atlantic Drift, which used to be called the Gulf Stream, which keeps us ice-free in the winter, if that ceases to operate, we'll get cold. Although the world will get warmer, we'll get colder.
It's not just colder. This country will be uninhabitable because you know what happens in this country when the tiniest snowflake drops in winter? The whole country comes to a complete halt. There's no water coming out the taps. There's no gas coming out the wall. The electricity fails. The bus won't arrive. Your car won't start. And so on and so on and so on. Can you
Yeah,
imagine
but
what it was like? What it would be like if 12 feet of snow regularly fell here?
Yes, but there's always a good story in it because nobody goes to work. And I know we have a day off. So there you go. We enjoy ourselves.
Yeah, I think, but by the time that happens, you would think. I mean, it could happen tomorrow, like that film, The Day After Tomorrow. It could actually happen. It could happen right. It could be happening as we speak. But let's assume that it'll be a little while off, and we're all going to be either fired or working from home. Working from home anyway. We're going to get fired by a robot.
Affirmative.
That's our future.
And I can just say that we've made everybody very happy. And it's a pleasure talking to you, Nick.
Oh, right. I must have forgotten about the part in our conversation where we made everybody happy. HAPPY-ness. I must have missed that part. But thanks a lot, Jeff. Glad to hear that the duck and cuckoo is still going. Still got punters. They haven't all left it for Jeremy Clarkson's new gaff. Why queue at 7:30 in the morning to get into a pub? It's just a pub. He isn't going to invite you to be a character on his TV show. It's just beer. Other pubs are available. I'm a bit mystified by that. That whole mania surrounding what Jeremy Clarkson is doing. Now, I did catch up with that TV show, and I watched all 3 series, and I liked it so much that I feel a bit put out that I don't know what he's doing now. I think that by law he should put out a programme every week just so that we can catch up with his various doings. But what I would not do is cross the country to go and queue in a shop to buy a bit of cheese. Or worse, to queue for 4 hours to get into a pub. I mean, you people are out of your minds. But, I wish him all the best. He won't need the luck. 0345 6060 973. You can WhatsApp us on the same number, 0345 6060 973. The text number, 84850. Email, nica@lbc.co.uk. 10:30 on LBC. The news headlines here with Tim Daly.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Nobody knows who the hell he is.
James texts, I can't be the only person who got a bit weepy watching Tim Walz make his speech yesterday and his son Gus's subsequent reaction. Tim Walz, for those who have just woken up from a coma, is Kamala Harris's running mate. Kamala Harris is running on the Democratic ticket. Joe Biden's still not dead. You're all caught up. He says his son Gus's subsequent reaction was enough to bring a tear to a glass eye. The far right's reaction to it was strange, as expected. I think the word you're looking for there, James, is weird. The far right's reaction to it was weird, as expected. But I think that bullying a neurodivergent child for an outpouring of genuine affection for their dad is a brand new low for them. It's a brand new low for you and your Oompa Loompa tribe, Donny.
Don't talk to me that way. I'm the president of the United States. Don't ever talk to the president that way.
Matt says, Trump gave you a classic for the soundboard today with repeating thank you, over an over-mocking Kamala. Trump gave you a classic for the soundboard today with his repeating thank you over an over-mocking Kamala. Right, well, leave that with me.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Sunbury-on-Thames. Hello, Darren.
Hello, Nick. How are you, my friend?
Very good, thanks.
I am so upset today. I'm so upset.
No. What?
Have you seen the EU backdoor that Keir Starmer's created? No, I did.
Yes.
To the backdoor for 3 years, up to 4. Have you seen this?
Well, what is it specifically you're talking about?
Oh, have you ever heard of the Erasmus scheme?
Oh,
Am I pronouncing that right?
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Erasmus,
yes, yeah?
They've agreed to bring in more Spaniards, more Europeans. I can't take it, Nick. They're going to be mating all over the place.
Yeah, but probably not with you, though, Darren. Much as you might try. Did you hit the delay button there?
I did.
I didn't notice anything in there that... did it slip by me?
Yes.
What did he say? Don't say it.
It was...
Don't say it.
The worst
Don't, no. She is out of control. So there was something that went by me that it didn't bother me at all. But the invigilator through the glass, she had... oh, really? That? I would have let that go. It was the most mild oath.
Disgusting.
You believe that? On this show, where children can hear it. Al says, did you see that Nigel Farage was in Clacton this week? Was he? He took one photo in front of a big wheel on the seafront. Do any of your listeners know if he did anything else while he was there? Check to see when the next flight to America was on his phone, I bet. How do you know he was in front of the big wheel on the seafront? Because various seaside destinations do have those things where you can poke your face through a hole and it looks like you're a baby in a pram, and one of them could be you're in front of the big wheel on the seafront at Clacton. I mean, maybe they've got that in, I don't know, Los Angeles or wherever he is now. I do have full details, by the way. I'll lay those on you momentarily. Ricky takes, I heard that John F. Kennedy endorsed Trump today. I feel like the whole... I feel like the whole country is stupid. Well, yes, from a distance. Get Bette Midler on the phone right now. I mean it.
Rock and roll!
From a distance, it looks as though the entire country is stupid. Yeah, one to avoid. You can go to Mexico or Canada, just skip that whole bit in the middle. Yeah, John F. Kennedy. I'll sum up the thoughts of John F. Kennedy for you in 2 seconds. Yeah, that's about it. That's all you need to know. He's out of the race. I can't imagine the mindset of people who are going to vote for him. And I would imagine that most of them were going to be Trumpists, so it probably won't move the dial at all in favour of the screaming Mimi. Tina texts, Pendulum is a brilliant band. Their early 2006 album, Hold Your Colour, is epic, and I guarantee you will nod your head while listening. Well, I think I want a little bit more than that. Is it toe-tapping, Tina? Because you didn't say that. It's head nodding, but it's not toe-tapping. Well, get back to me when they improve their lot. And Caroline texts, Kamala Harris is so going to win. It's a predictor of the future. Well, it really does at this point. I mean, they were complaining that Joe Biden was too old and decrepit and he couldn't find his way up a staircase and all the rest of it. Okay, so he's gone now. And now the old geezer is the peach powder puff president.
Oh, shut up!
That guy. All darkness and hate. Why would you vote for that? Why would you ally yourself to that? I mean, he's not very presidential, is he?
I can be more presidential than anybody.
I rest my case. Edinburgh. Hello, Trevor.
Hello there. Hello.
Hello there.
Hello there. Yeah, well, you're there and I'm here, aren't you? And you're there and I'm here.
Yes, and let's keep it that way, shall we?
Yeah. I just wanted to say two things. Number one, the hypocrisy of the present government in attacking the pensioners as they've done through taking away the winter fuel allowance from elderly people who are already the most undervalued pensioners in the whole of Western Europe are right here in the UK. I've been on the website all day. And apparently, British people get the worst deal
yes.
of the other 27 countries that used to be part
correct.
of the Europe along with us.
I agree.
Secondly, the other point I'd like to make to all politicians who might be listening, when you're given your cheques by whoever gives you your cheques for your £4,500 a year winter and all-round heating allowance, all you elected Labour, Tory, and whatever party you're in, politicians, just spare a thought for the 10 million English people and the 3 million Scots and the people in Northern Ireland and Wales that are going to lose their heating allowance, so you can go on receiving your heating allowance at our expense, even though we're a lot poorer than you and live on about a ninth of the money you get. You get £65,000 a year.
93.
Is it 93? Well, thank you for correcting me on that. I'll tell you how much I get. Less than £10,000 a year. Now, I was said it to your co-worker there, the lovely lady who took the call. If you were sitting there trying to exist on £816 a month, as I am, and my partner, do you think you could make it? Do you think you could live a decent life for that money? I mean, if you could, good luck to you. Good luck to anybody.
Yeah.
But here in Edinburgh...
Politicians listening to this are thinking, £816 a day? Well, I could easily survive on that. But that's not the amount, is it?
It's a month. £816 a month. And the other thing is, I was speaking to a lady from an area near me which feeds people who are very poor. And I didn't want to give them a name because they don't really like publicity, but they do work a lot with the people who are very poorest in their area. It's a run-down part of Edinburgh, I have to say. There's not a lot of people with a lot of money, and there's a lot of elderly people in the area. Predominantly, the population is about 62% elderly people. That means most of them will be on a pension. She was saying today that she's had people coming to her and saying, would they be able to get a bit of help with some kind of funding for the allowance? And she's had to get in touch with the local MP to say that she's had over 3,000 requests since the announcement was made to stop the amount of fuel allowance. Now, it's only been made for just over 9 days, I think it was. And already they've had 3,000. So we reckon by October...
I will make a prediction that the Labour government will do no such thing. They will come under attack, as you have just described, and will go about face and say, well, we've changed our mind and we're going to do the right thing. And
I hope you're right. I really hope you're right.
Have you by the way, have you ever listened to this show before?
Oh, for sure. Oh, for the LBC, London's biggest conversation. I used to speak to Sonny and Cher on your show regular.
You used to speak to Sonny and Cher?
Was it Sonny and Shay? Sonny and Shay? S-H-A-Y?
F-H-A-Y. I don't know who that is, but Sonny and Cher, I'm going to have to check our rota and tell you when they're on. But thanks a lot, Trevor. Appreciate that. He's never heard this show before in his life. I very much doubt that the Labour government is going to do that, because it just doesn't seem to be very them, does it? It seems to be more
this government.
That sounds like something that they would do. Just at the moment that you need it most, they're just going to whip it out from underneath you. Yeah, the first time I heard that, I thought, yeah, you're probably not going to stick with that, because I think the opprobrium that will come your way will be just too much. Maybe he's doing like the Tory trick of trying to distract you with one outrageous thing while they get away with something else. You've got to keep your eyes peeled at all times. But it also strikes me that they haven't really got their knees under the desk yet. Only by the end of the year will we get a sense of where we're actually going. I mean, they got elected and they all scarpered off on holiday, didn't they? I mean, not as much as Mr. Blobby did.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
I mean, he probably he turned his phone off and just disappeared to wallow somewhere. And but you know, at least Skier kept his phone on and maintained availability. Anyway, back to Tina, who says that Pendulum is a brilliant band. They just don't sound like a brilliant band, Tina. That's a terrible name for a band. Pendulum. I mean, Pendulum. It does sound as though it's one of them hippie bands from the 1970s, doesn't it? Or Pentacle. Was that one of those bands? You know, you might expect them to play at the Free Festival at Stonehenge.
Groovy.
Anybody go to that? I know I did. Susan says, I watched a little bit of the Susan says, I watched a little bit of the AC/DC concert at River Plate on your recommendation, and I saw what you meant about the crowd going nuts. It was an incredible sight indeed. I mention this every now and again. It is one of the most remarkable things I've ever seen in my life. If you want to see how, without the benefit of health and safety rules, a crowd can behave at an AC/DC concert, then go and see the number of people that are packed into that massive stadium to watch a handful of old geezers knock out the hits. It's amazing. AC/DC at River Plate. I do believe you'll find it on YouTube.
LBC. Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Hot HOTAR.
I can't get past the fact that band has got an absolutely dreadful name, Pendulum. I mean, it puts you in mind of Ponderous. Why didn't they just call themselves Ponderous? As in boring. As in an Oasis concert.
Boring.
Pendulum. Or it sounds like pendulous, which is hanging down loosely, like Liam Gallagher's arms when he's singing at an Oasis concert. Pendulum. It's a no from me. Susan, I've done the Susan thing. That's AC/DC. I mention it every now and again, and people always come back and say, oh, I can't believe it. Have you seen this? Yes, I've seen it. I told you to watch it myself. Joe says, one moment, please. I heard this week that Trumpy said that if Kamala Harris wins the election, he's not going to take any notice of that decision. I wonder what he means by that. Will he get the dinglings uprising again? He is very scary. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. He is very, very scary. He keeps saying that. It's the exact same thing that he said before the last election. He will accept the result if he wins. And they've already moved. What the really scary part is that they move very, very slowly. Not Trump, but the people behind Trump. You know, the actual brains and the money behind him. They move very, very slowly. They play the long game. And what they've done now is they have taken over a job that nobody previously thought of particularly hard at, to something. Previously, nobody really considered these jobs, and they are the assessor. I can't remember the exact title, but they are the assessor who determines whether the election count has been fair. I mean, it's just a dull functionary's job. And nobody had ever thought about, nobody had never thought about thinking about them before. What's wrong with me tonight? Don't know. I'll have it looked at later. And slowly and surely, the Republican Party have been putting their people, their forever Trumpers, into those previously unconsidered positions, with the intention of saying, oh, well, can't really certify the election because Kamala Harris won. I've got very strong suspicions that something is up, so I can't certify these votes. So they are intending to steal the election again. And he keeps saying that he's going to do that. You know, when he was talking to those the Christians, the pretend religious types. I mean, if you really believe in God, then I think it must create some sort of noise in your head to also be supporting Donald Trump. Just saying. But he said, you just vote for me this one time, and then after this we'll fix it so good that you won't have to vote again. He also said that he doesn't want your votes because it's already done. And all of these things, people just go, oh, that's just Donald Trump, he just says things. The thing is, he says the exact thing that he's going to do before doing it. He doesn't have a filter because he's never had to grow one. Because nothing he has ever said or done has actually impacted him badly. He's fallen feet down, or butter side up and feet down after every disaster in his disaster-filled life. None of it affects him personally. It's just a trail of destruction that he leaves behind him. He hasn't been in an accident himself, but he's seen thousands in his rearview mirror. So they are planning to steal it. And I just wonder if the Democrat Party actually understand fully what is about to happen to them and can prepare as much as much as they are able. Because what is happening now in America is not normal. It is, in fact, weird. Lots of weird people doing weird things. Worthing. Hello, Matt.
Hi, Nick. Well, that's the one thing that they can do is they're sneakier, aren't they? They win. I think Donald Trump is petrified of losing this election, but he seems to have lost all his spark and razzmatazz.
Yeah, you can say that again.
And he's just looking very, very when he won before, he had that charisma, didn't he?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. He has got stage presence and he can hold a crowd and all the rest of it. But crowds are leaving now. I mean, they might queue to get in, but about 30, 40 minutes after listening to his rambling, they're all queuing for the exits.
But if he doesn't need votes, he's going about a good way of doing it if he thinks he doesn't need votes, because his campaign seems to be, compared to the Democrats, his campaign looks awful. I mean, they've got this amazing machine they seem to have behind them, the Democrats, Kamala Harris, on TikTok and social media.
Yeah.
And they're running some hard-hitting ads. You know, did you see the one showing the insurrection? Have you seen that one that they've run?
A lot of really gruesome footage of all these wonderful people. They were really, really peaceful on the day. It was great.
Yeah. But when you look at Kamala Harris and the people she's got around, she's got the Obamas, the Clintons, she's got these powerhouse people that can go out and campaign. But Donald Trump, I think he's made the same mistake the Conservative Party made, of getting rid of all the adults and the smart people and filling the party with these just sneaky idiots or whatever they are, like J.D. Vance, and he's just awful, horrible people. I mean, it is, like you were saying at the beginning, miraculous that so many people, that some of them must have brains in their heads, would still consider voting for him. But he is just absolutely abhorrent.
I don't think that with a lot of them it's voting for anything. It's voting against the Liberals. Just as long as the Liberals are upset, they don't mind if they themselves face ruination.
Yeah, they've just picked a team. But I'm wondering if Donald Trump employed Rishi Sunak's PR team, because he seems to be going from one car crash to another. As far as his PR goes, he did the Black Journalist Convention thing and basically waded straight in, attacking the intelligent lady.
You could see in his mind he was thinking, well, maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but it's as though his mouth takes over and he just can't stop himself.
He can't stop the snark, can he? His snark trigger is just there all the time, and he's just coming across. There's no positivity in him
at
all.
His
campaign.
It's a choice between the light and the dark. Pick one, America.
I think he sacked. He got rid of every competent person, including his makeup artist.
He didn't get rid of them; they left. It's something of the order of 80. Is it about 80% of the people that he worked with during his time as a president do not want to have anything to do with him again, including his vice president, of course, who he tried to have killed.
Yeah, and then what happens then? You end up with J.D. Vance, because he got nothing else.
Yeah. No, that's not true. It's the billionaires behind Donald Trump picked J.D. Vance because he was one of them. He was a tech bro venture capitalist, and they thought that the way that we billionaires can make even more money is to have one of our own in the White House, because Donald Trump doesn't understand anything about this. Have you noticed that Donald Trump is suddenly all about crypto finance? What does Donald Trump know about Nobody knows more about crypto than me, believe me.
Yeah.
And he keeps giving speeches about it and how tremendous it is, and he's never heard of it before in his life. It's those people that are telling him to say this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just think he's lost it. He's lost that sheen. They're coming across with a lot more energy. They've got big momentum since. I mean, Trump got that photo after he got shot, and you just thought, when Biden was still in the race, it's done.
I did. I saw that picture. It happened when I was on the air. And I saw the picture come up on my phone, and I thought, right, that's it. He's won. It's over. We might as well just call it now. And then his entire world got turned upside down.
I'll tell you what, have you seen one thing? Have you seen the big, the fish that sings? They've done a Donald Trump version, and they're actually selling it and running ads on American television. If you haven't seen that, it's Donny. Oh, what is it? Donny something. It is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. But yeah, all the smart stuff's coming out through the Democrats' social media. That's how it comes across. And J.D. Vance just walking around with a dodgy syrup, walking into places, being ignored and by the staff. There just seems to be no vigour. But like you say, if he's rigging it,
there's no vigour. It's just weird. Yeah, he tried to connect with somebody in a donut shop. He took all the cameras into a donut shop and tried to connect with ordinary, real human beings, and it went really, really well. No, it didn't.
Well, there's a photo of him from behind, and he looks like he's got the cheapest syrup, like rug on his head. It's another weird, added to the weird.
Yeah.
Collection of weird.
The collection of weird, yeah. Him and Donald Trump.
I don't wear a toupee.
Both of them. 2 peas in a pod. Two weird peas in a pod. Excellent work there, Matt. Thanks for that. Archie says, the storms are done in alphabetical order. I'm looking forward to Storm Trump in January. Yeah, well, the one thing that it does not get is boring. Hey. Joe says, I heard this week that Trumpy said that if Kamala Harris... Oh, I read that one. That's what started me off on that little... shall we call it a rant? I heard this week that Trumpy said that if Kamala Harris wins the election, he's not going to take any notice of that decision. And the only thing in our favour, in the rest of the world can take comfort in, is that at that time, he will not be the occupant of the White House. So he won't have... They won't have to get him out of the White House because he'll be on the outside anyway. If it been the other way around, then I think we'd all be in trouble. 0345 6060 973. WhatsAppers on the same number, 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global. Leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Are you trying to tell me that this is your act?
What the hell is going on?
Yeah, Donald Trump loves JFK, and if JFK, or RFK, not JFK, RFK, and if RFK had come out on the side of Kamala Harris, it would be all, he's a very low IQ individual, I'm not a big fan of his brain. Despite his family's history with the Democratic Party, RFK Jr. was running as an independent after leaving the Democrats in October. Kennedy made a name for himself as an anti-vaxxer during the pandemic, as well as sharing disinformation online. Liar! Kennedy became a regular on the anti-mandate rally circuit during the coronavirus response. At one event, he compared the US government's use of vaccine mandates to laws in Nazi Germany. He said, even in Hitler's Germany, you could cross the Alps into Switzerland. I actually think that he's just watched The Great Escape. Even in Hitler's Germany, you could cross the Alps into Switzerland, he said. You could hide in an attic like Anne Frank did. He told a crowd in January of last year. Wow. Of 2022, actually. He told a lot of people that. Blimey. He said, today the mechanisms are being put in place that will make it so none of us can run and none of us can hide. In May, Kennedy disclosed for the first time that a parasitic worm once entered his brain and died, a period that led to brain fog and, quotes, having trouble with word retrieval and short-term memory. Later in the campaign, he sidestepped accusations published in Vanity Fair that he sexually assaulted a former nanny, telling a podcast that he had, quotes, many skeletons in his closet.
What?
I'm not a church boy, he said when asked about the allegations. The same Vanity Fair article also published an image of Kennedy sent by him to a friend, which appeared to depict Kennedy eating a dog carcass. Kennedy has denied the photo showed him eating a dog. Earlier this month, Kennedy admitted that a decade ago he placed in New York City's Central Park a bear cub carcass that he found on the road in upstate New York, an incident that appears tied to an episode in 2014 that drew national attention. Bizarre. I think he's in Roseanne Barr's kitchen when he was saying that. And there's that other dingaling, Roseanne Barr. Even she thought... it looked like even she thought he was nuts. Oh, yeah, I picked up a dead bear by the road and I put it in my car because, that's what normal people do. And I had to take a flight the next day and I couldn't take a dead bear on a plane. So I just dumped it in Central Park with a bike of mine that I had to make it look like a bike had run into the bear and killed it in Central Park. Yeah, so that's the kind of talent that we will be missing from the forthcoming American race. Another one bites the dust. 0345 6060 973. Let's have, Jonathan in Harrow. Harrow.
Yeah, good evening, Nick.
Jonathan, you're back in your home.
No, unfortunately not. I'm in Harrow, but I'm in... I'm on a precipitous decline. I'm in a temporary apartment. It's very luxurious, but it's not my home. I lost the BMW. I lost one of my cleaners, and then I got rid of the home. And now I'm, it's actually lovely, but I'm struggling financially. I'm down to my last 20K.
Now, is it a coincidence that you lost your BMW and your cleaner? Could your cleaner have nicked your BMW?
I called you I don't know who the people are here. I'm just worried someone might break in, so I'll try and be at a good volume. I called you about the cleaner sacking from a lovely hotel in the Marble Arch, when I was doing okay financially.
Yes.
Because you always say that we should not have voted the Brexit and the Tories, and at that time I was thinking Nigel Farage is not a racist, but now I think he might be a racist.
What has brought you to that conclusion?
Well, because interestingly, he was on the Tom Schwabrick's show talking about the fact that some journalists, and he said, like James O'Brien, have been referring to these riots as the Farage riots.
Yes.
And then James O'Brien played a clip of Nigel Farage on the Tom Schwabrick show, on his own show, citing that. And then he said, I'm so sorry, Nigel, I shouldn't have called them the Farage riots. I should have called them the Farage riots.
Right. Yes, well, the one sounds more in tune with the common man than the other. Farage has a bit of an upper-class ring to it, doesn't it? But Farage sounds like garage.
Farage or Farage, he used to be your colleague. Before my financial ruin started, I was watching his video on YouTube, and he said we should all do three things. We should all be careful of what our online presence is. Mm-hmm. We should all buy gold. No, he said that. And he also... No, he did. And he also said we should all have at least 3 bank accounts. So after listening to him, I opened up 7.
7 bank accounts, right.
I've got 7 bank accounts now, yeah.
Do you have any money in them?
I've got loads, but it's all borrowed.
Right.
Some of the banks literally put the phone down on me now.
Like some of the presenters on this radio station. Yeah, I can understand that.
I mean, that's happened. I'm actually watching a video about a British-Chinese man who is giving, it's from a few weeks ago, he is doing citizen journalism of the Farage riots. Hello?
Yes, and?
And I mean, genuinely, a bigger bunch of demented racists who all start off by saying, I'm not a racist, you would not see, I'm in the state of these people. Yeah. I mean, really, it's quite something.
I know. Some of them share each other's teeth. That's what I heard.
And there is also actually an Indian Sikh man who is also in the middle. I genuinely don't know if this is real life anymore. And I'll give myself another month in this country, and I'll leave, honestly, for somewhere, where the pound stretches a bit further.
Yeah.
Can I make a few political points?
Where your talents are more appreciated. I understand that. Yes, go ahead.
Because you can buy more for £1 in, like, say, Kuwait or the New Delhi or places like that.
Yeah, I very much doubt that. But anyway, go on.
Now, listen, the point is, I'm so scared now about what's happening to this country, because today, not only is Russell Brand and Neil Oliver doing a road trip on YouTube.
Well, as long as they're together in the same place, they'll be more easy to avoid.
It is. I mean, I'm almost as scared of going in a car with them as I am with a lot of these Uber drivers I have to take now, because I don't have the BMW, and some of these Uber drivers don't shut up. Honestly.
Even you can't get a word in edgeways.
One of them gave me his card for his YouTube channel. One was a Polish Nazi sympathizer, and one was an ex-Afghan drug dealer.
He was a what?
He said that he said he wasn't a drug dealer, but he was a tough Afghan man who knew a surprising amount about the drug business.
Right.
And you honestly, the walkies, I said I wouldn't say walkie after the Farage, right?
Uh-oh.
But the walkie-talkies, they have got like entire internet pages with things about how to politely tell Uber drivers not to talk. And, it's ultra-feminists who do these pages that say things like, sentences you should never have to say to someone, I'm not interested in that, I don't appreciate interruption, I need space. And it's all pictures of women.
Right.
But now listen, can I say just a point on the economy, if I may?
Okay.
I went to shopping today, and I won't say which shops, but seriously,
was it Tesco's, Sainsbury's, Co-op?
Tesco, actually, yeah.
Okay. Well, don't mention any brand names.
And I'm down to my last 20k.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No, that's true.
Right.
And I went in, and for the first time in my life, now you have to go behind the counter to get the washing up the powder, isn't it?
You have to go behind the counter to get the washing up the powder, isn't it? Is that what you just said?
They give you an empty box. So you go into the aisle, and because they give you an empty box of the washing.
Well, I've never seen that. You are making that up. I've never seen that before.
No, today. Because all of the boxes were empty, so you have to be very careful because of the militant feminism. So I chose a little Indian man who was working there. And I said to him that the boxes are all empty. And he said, "Sir, what you have to do is you have to go behind the counter, and once you pay, we will fill it up with washing up tablets."
I've never heard of that. I've heard of that with bottles of whiskey and that. This carton is empty. Please ask at the till and we'll put a bottle in it for you.
Yeah.
No, it's washing powder.
They used to have it with like DVDs and high-price alcohol and things like this. But this country is now finished. But look, I know you've let me talk. I know you've let me talk for a while. So can I just end by talking about the Kamala? Just one sentence on her.
Yes.
Because I know, Nick, you and your LBC compadres, you all, as you're doing the walkie-talkie...
The walkie-talkie?
Walkie-talkie?
Yeah.
You all love Keir Starmer. You don't say nothing bad about him.
Mm-hmm.
The media all laid into Jeremy Corbyn, who was busy stirring his dirty Trotskyist portions with his long beard. Right?
Yes.
No, but listen, my point is this, seriously. Kamala, which is how you pronounce it, in Hindi it means the orange. Kamala, this is how you inspire a country. She has got so much more energy, charisma, and joie de vivre, and the gorgeous Obama than the Starmer did. Do you at least accept me on that point?
Yes, I do.
So they had Michelle Obama, who's not really that easy on the eyes, but then they had Hillary, who's looking very young, then Oprah, which was going a bit far, and Bill Clinton, which are, speaking of skeletons in the closet. But I will just end by saying Obama and Kamala, they have just completely inspired us in a way. Starmer and his wooden cabinet are not able to. And actually, can I just end by saying, if I was a woman, I would actually let Obama make love to me.
Right. Well, as long as you end on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. It's all going terribly.
It's all going terribly well. Good work. There you are. Follow that. 0345 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC. Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
I am not one of your fans!
Paul says, do the Tories think that we care what they say? I don't know. I think they must do. I think that they miss being in positions of importance and power. They miss being attended to. I don't think they've quite got used to the fact that they lost the last election. You have delighted us enough. Please don't feel that we are on the edge of our seats waiting for what you have to say next. Anyway, he says, do the Tories think that we care what they say? Robert, paint over the children's murals, Genrick, said he would be pleased to have Bodger back. And the great big greedy nincompoop himself today wrote in the Mail, welcome to Starmer's Britain, twinned with Orwell's 1984.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
He is an ocean-going chump, and no one should listen to him or read any of his words. It's just, every day that passes without one of those gaslighters coming on our TVs or radios and telling us that what we know is wrong, but insisting that they are right, and just repeating those same spurious statistics over and over again. Yes, Chris Philp, I am talking about you. Nick, and all of the rest of them. Nick texts, Trump and Harris are now neck and neck in the betting at 10 to 11, whatever that means. Kamala is useless, says Nick. Sleepy Joe put her in charge of immigration. An estimated 10 million illegal immigrants have been allowed to invade the U.S. during the Biden presidency. This policy is to later have them voting Democrat after they have the vote, says Nick, who gets all of his news from social media. All of it. And is a representative of the dark side. You have a choice, America. You want to move towards the light, or do you want to sit in the Stygian gloom? Your choice. Let's have New Jersey. Dan. Dan. Too late. Orpington. Hello, Tony.
Oh, here we go. Hello, Nick.
Yes, Tony. Here we go.
Here we go. Yes. I want to talk about, I'm going to save the best till last. Only two things tonight. Now, that Lady Gaga song with Rolling Stones, he was banging on about this. Now, I always knew that Lady Gaga was a great singer. Isn't it a great song?
I didn't have any idea that she was a great singer. I just thought she was the crazy lady that showed up in an egg being carried by people at an award ceremony, or she wore a dress made of meat just to get attention. And I assumed that because she did all these crazy stunts to get attention, I assumed that she actually didn't have any talent, and that's what she was making up for. But I could not have been more wrong.
I know, but at least you're able to admit that by listening to it. No, she's incredible, and she used to write a lot of songs before she got famous, like big songs, but she gives a lot of her production when she's touring and stuff. She gives it all back. She puts it all into her shows, and she loves her fans, and I appreciate that.
However, I must insert a but here.
Go on.
But she was terrible on that Paris opening ceremony. It may not have been entirely her fault, because the sound was abysmal, but the dancing part was all her, and she just didn't do it.
Yes. No, I tried watching this because I didn't watch the opening ceremony live. I heard Celine Dion, and I thought she was quite good, actually. But I didn't see the Lady Gaga.
She was. Almost like tear in the eye stuff. She was great.
Yeah. And she's going through a lot at the moment. But Lady Gaga, I can't find that online. I tried looking on YouTube, but I did that a few days after the opening ceremony. I haven't looked since.
Maybe France has deleted it.
Probably, who knows? Yes, now, the main thing, I want to talk about Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
I think she's fabulous.
Yeah, and before Joe Biden left, the word about Kamala Harris was that she was even less popular with the general public than Joe Biden. Now, that may be a factor of being the vice president, because you don't get to really do and say very much as a vice president. You're sort of there in the background. And, there is a certain dislike and distrust about women in American politics. They haven't really got as far as we have in that regard. But then when Joe Biden stepped down, it was almost as though somebody opened the curtains and let the light in.
Yes, I agree. And I predicted this, actually. I think, I don't know, I rang up a couple of months ago and Joe Biden made a decision. And I was like, no, Kamala Harris needs to make a step up here. People going, we don't really know much about her. Look, I'm not going to say that her speech yesterday was better than the Obamas in the week, but it's like, I was saying, I hope they do, excuse me, the TV debates, because I think that will be quite good. And I've always thought Donald Trump was there for the taking. I'm glad Joe Biden's done the right decision, but I'll tell you what, the polls have really closed down. I think she might win, and I'm backing her. And all those people going, oh, she hasn't got any. We don't know much about all that palaver that people go on about. I just don't buy it, and I could see that she'd be good, and I really hope. And Donald Trump's gone a bit quiet, and I like our vice president. I can't remember his name now, but we need to get behind her. And
Tim Walz.
Yes.
Yeah. Everything I see and hear about that guy, I like him more, as opposed to J.D. Vance, where you're just sort of backing away from the weirdness and the sliminess.
Yeah, apparently he was in a shop, weren't he? I think it was a donut store in America.
Store, yeah.
It was worse than Rishi Sunak trying to go into...
Yeah, on the same level of embarrassment, Rishi Sunak trying to communicate with the common person was just exactly like J.D. Vance. Neither of them met a poor person in their lives.
I know. Oh, yeah, he's the way he was talking about them crazy cat women. But I can't wait to see their face. We don't know what's going to happen, but I think that she might win. And I'm really good about that. And also, you need to promote yourself more as well. The Nick and Carol show, because it's brilliant.
Yes, mostly because of her, not because of me.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, but I should promote it more. You are right.
You make everyone happy.
All right. Well, glad to hear it. Thanks a lot, Tony. It's a good point at which to plug that show.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's a podcast, comes out twice a week. I think you'll love it. It's called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol?
Yeah.
In which Carol and me try to solve people's problems. Now, we do get a lot of emails from people, but not many of them are problems. There's just people who are sort of essentially having a chat with us who want me to read their letters out on the podcast. The idea is that we solve people's problems, and sometimes we're pretty good at it. If you have a dilemma that you wish us to solve, simply send it to the following address, nickandcarol@global.com. That is nickandcarol@global.com. But you must prepare for complete satisfaction. Ask for it. Ask for it by name on an internet near you. What's your problem with Nick and Carol? This chap in New Jersey is back. Let's try it again. Dan.
Hey, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, I've just been listening to some of these people. I mean, I know it's late over there in the UK, and having the late slot means you probably get quite a few people who've been drinking. But
a little bit.
I mean, they're really on it tonight, Nick. They're really on it on Friday night over there.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
I mean, these people that are talking about, I mean, the last guy, I've got a couple of points to make. I mean, the first one is these people who've been coming on and saying, I love this Kamala Harris.
Yes.
They can't tell you one single thing that she stands for. Because they don't know what she stands for.
It doesn't matter. She stands for the opposite of Donald Trump. That's all they need to know.
So that's all that matters.
Yes.
That's all that matters. As long as it's about hatred of Donald Trump.
No,
you don't need ideas. You don't need policies.
Not hatred, Dan. Not hatred, Dan. Fear.
Not hatred.
Fear.
So you're afraid of Donald Trump, Nick, are you?
No, you're talking about the other people, I thought. People calling up and saying...
You're not scared.
Am I scared of another presidency with Donald Trump and those weird people that are behind him? Absolutely, everybody should be.
It's so funny, because he's been the president for 4 years, and all you guys in the media, and you're one of them. You're one of the most guilty. Yeah. You media machine that keep feeding this weird thing. I mean, so who came up with the weird thing? It's Tim Walz. Tampon
exactly.
Tim. They call him Tampon Tim.
Yeah, you know why? It's because he put tampons in school bathrooms. Yeah, what an evil thing.
In the boys' bathroom.
No,
yeah.
that's not true. That's a misinformation that you read online. Absolutely.
No, it's not, Nick.
Yes, it is.
I live in the United States, and I know people. A phrase I know you lefties love: lived experience.
You know people.
Truth.
He knows people.
Their truth. I do know people.
Yeah.
I do know people.
Everybody in America knows people.
I know people who have.
He knows people who know
lived
things.
Experience. One of your favourite phrases, lived experience.
I don't believe I've ever used. I don't believe I've ever used that phrase in my life. What do you mean? It's one of my favourite phrases, lived experience.
Of the left, of the media machine. You're part of that media
because
machine.
We're all the same in your eyes. Anybody that doesn't support Donald Trump is is an amorphous woke lefty in your eyes.
Can I just finish my point?
You have a point? I wasn't aware of that.
I do have a point. Yeah. So this guy Tim Walz, who is the definition of weird. Every accusation is a confession.
I don't know. That's the other way around. It's called projection, which is what Donald Trump does. You got it the wrong way around there, Dan. You, in fact, are guilty of projection,
dude. He comes on the stage, it's like an episode of The Price is Right. He goes running around.
Did you see your man J.D. Vance trying to do an ordinary thing like order a donut today? Did you see that?
I mean,
and you did see it, and it's so embarrassing that you don't even want to address it, do you?
J.D. Vance. So if I turned that on to you, Ed Miliband can't eat a bacon sandwich.
No, Ed Miliband was photographed eating a bacon sandwich. If you take one image of anybody eating anything, you can make them look ridiculous.
Yeah, and Ed Miliband looks ridiculous on many levels, but your friend Tutia here,
I'm not sure that's true. Ed Miliband was made to look ridiculous trying to eat that sandwich because somebody took the photograph in the appropriate moment. But I don't think he looks ridiculous.
This is it with you media guys.
I don't think he looks.
It's a one-way street, isn't it? It's a one-way street with you media guys. So
what does that mean?
Here. J.D. Vance in a donut shop is no different to your man in the bacon butty shop.
Why do you think that Miliband is my man? Because all lefties think the same?
You're a Marxist.
What's the definition of Marxism?
Well, I think you know what the definition of Marxism is.
No, I'm asking you, Dan. You used it as an insult. What does it mean?
Let me. It's not an insult. It's a statement of fact. Let me just.
Okay, you don't know. All right. Well, you've delighted us enough. Back under your bridge, troll. 0345 6060 973. Justin text, great shoe tonight. SHOE. Although maybe he's just admiring my footwear. Great shoe tonight, says Justin. I get the impression you don't like Donald Trump. I think he is a great human being, says Justin, who's obsessed with footwear. One of those people. And Anthony texts, Trump wins, end over. Which also makes no sense at all. I think I'm getting the same robot messages that spreads on social media. Those people that have 6 followers and tweet a suspiciously large number of things, all in favour of Donald Trump. You know, those robots.
Affirmative.
Those robots, yeah. Still entertaining while it lasted. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And you can WhatsApp us. Same number as the phone. 0345 6060 973. 11:30 on LBC. The news headlines with Tim Daly.
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbot. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Right, so what are we doing?
Gibbon, we are doing a radio show. Keep up. I didn't do Justin justice the text that I read just some moments ago. I didn't do Justin justice. The text actually reads as follows. Great shoe tonight, comma, 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 comma. I get the impression you, just the letter U, don't like Donald Trump, comma, 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 full stop. I think he's a great human being. No, full stop. Excellent work there, Justin. And Rosie says, don't mock Joe, Nick. He has brilliantly staged this entree of Kamala Harris. Entree? What, like a main course? He has brilliantly staged this entree of Kamala Harris by deliberately messing up the debates. Phenomenal strategic skills, says Rosie. What would you like for your main course, Rosie? The Kamala? How would you like it cooked? 0345 6060 973. Cheyenne, Wyoming. I do believe I spent some miserable hours trying to get a lift in Cheyenne.
Well, that's what you keep telling me. I can't find that cafe anywhere that you told me about.
Well, it was in the 1980s, the early 1980s.
Yeah. I just had to ring when I heard your gentleman from New Jersey ringing up and saying what he was saying. He's obviously suffering from the air pollution they have out there.
Yeah.
That's probably the problem. You know...
it's those Canadian wildfires.
Whereas me, I'm going to have to build myself a fort because, 70% of the people in Wyoming, that's probably around about 400,000 of the 600,000, are all Trump voters.
Yeah. It's the flyover states that are the problem. It's both coasts, they're just fine. It's the ones in the middle with their ding-a-ling music. Those are the problems.
Well, I have dyed-in-the-wool Republican friends who are kind of retired, my kind of age, 70 thereabouts, and they're all voting for Harris.
Really?
Because they said we're having to put party before politics country before party because it's we just cannot have him back in again.
No.
And they're really worried about what's going to happen.
Yeah, they should be.
And what's going to happen, and if he loses. Because come around about getting to October as we're heading up to the election, we'll get all of the pickups driving around town, and Cheyenne is about the most liberal city in the whole of the state, the capital city, and only about 6 miles from Colorado.
Yeah, that's right.
We're going to get all the pickups flying their flags, and they fly Trump flags, and then they fly the American flag, the Stars and Stripes, but it's black and white Stars and Stripes. And that has got a hidden meaning. That meaning is no surrender. Take no prisoners. You know?
Yeah, but you know what? All of these doughy geezers with the guns in the racks in the back of their pickup, I mean, they don't even take the stairs. They take the lift. These are soft, doughy people. And up against the army of the United States of America, they'll fold in about 2 seconds.
Well, that's true. That's true. But, they will still cause a lot of problems. Probably down in Denver. That's my biggest fear, down in Denver, because, you see, Colorado's strange. It used to be a red state. But, of course, with all the growth and everything, the Denver area and Fort Collins, and right the way down there, that is all blue. So the majority of the population in Colorado is now blue.
Yes.
But if you move out into the countryside around,
the ding-a-ling states,
they're all Republican. I mean, you've got sheriffs there who refuse to enforce gun laws that the state has introduced. They just say, no, we're not doing that. We don't think that's against the Constitution, so we're not doing it.
I spent a long time in America, and I drove from coast to coast over a long period, and I hitched, and I saw more of America than almost every American that I met had seen.
Probably.
And some of the things really did quite surprise me at how sort of ancient their their views were. They seem to be not ancient exactly, but they seem to be stuck in a different decade. And my one abiding feeling going through the southern states was, God, I'm glad I'm not black, because I'm a stranger around these parts. But as soon as I open my mouth and I start speaking like this, they think I know the Queen, and it's cute. But and I'm so white, you can practically see through me. But if it had been the other way around, then I would not have received such a warm welcome.
Well, the Queen did visit Sheridan in the early 1980s.
Sheridan?
Because they've got a distant cousin in Sheridan.
Have they?
And she visited Sheridan, that's right. And she made a mistake. They visited during the hunting season. And, of course, the security turned up like a week before to check everything and had a word with the sheriff and said, Sheriff, there's people driving around in pickups with rifles on the back, on the racks in the back. And the sheriff said, it's hunting season.
Yeah.
She'll be safer here than anywhere.
Plus, the Queen and her extended family just love blasting things out of the air. All right, well, keep your freak flag flying, Patrick. We appreciate it.
Oh, I thought about putting a Harris sign at the end of on the corner of my road. I'm out in the countryside, got like about a 3-acre plot. But I thought, no, it'll end up full of bullet holes.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not paying $35 for a sign full of bullet holes.
No. Just keep your political opinions to yourself. That's probably the safest way. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, good work. Thanks a lot, Patrick. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, I swear I just crossed the border with my rucksack on my back, a Bergen, as army people will call them. And I made my way in the middle of the night to a place called the Redneck Cafe in Cheyenne. Exactly where he was talking from. 6 miles north of the Colorado border, and tried to get a lift there. And then a whole nother story unfolded. If I could be bothered, I'd write a book, but as I can't, I won't. 0345 6060 973. Cornwall, Malcolm.
Good evening, Nick. How are you, sir?
I am great, mate.
The American election. Oh boy, it's been months now a month in between the Republican one and the Democrat one, and they were like as though you were witnessing videotape or whatever from two different planets.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, never mind about the same country. Two different planets, yeah.
You look at the guest lists and the entertainment lists, and I mean, one is like, amateurs, isn't it? And the others are professionals, to put it mildly. You get Kid Rock, you get the wrestler fella whose name I can't even remember.
Hulk Hogan.
And you get, it's just people like who, I mean,
they're people that look like they would be the entertainment at a party on the Death Star.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
But it's you look at them and you think in real life, let alone at the RNC conference, which is on another planet, as I say, in real life on this planet, who follows Hulk Hogan? Who actually would buy the music
it's children. It's children. I mean, it's children and adults with childlike brains who follow that pro wrestling nonsense. It's all completely made up. It's fake, just like Donald Trump's hair.
No, but the point is, Nick, the Hulk, he was like 30 years ago, 40 years ago,
yes.
when he was a thing.
Right.
And yet, like, it says you said about America, that section of America being 10 years behind the rest of the world. That's what the Trump charabang is, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, who else have they got? They got Ted Nugent, for crying out loud. He had one song, Cat Scratch Fever.
Rock and roll!
Other than that, nobody's paid the slightest attention to Ted Nugent since the 1970s.
No, I mean, I watched a little bit of the Trump one to see who... I mean, the bits I watched would have included who he picked as the deputy, the VP, just to see out of interest who it was.
Yeah.
And that, obviously, that was clean off the scale. That's another issue. But you're watching it and you think, well, like I say, it really is an alternative reality, isn't it? But you bring it back then to the people at the one this week. And I mean, these are people who are literally at the top of the entertainment field. And you've got some of literally the best politicians in politics anywhere in the world. And what I don't understand is what sort of people will go for the one and not the other.
Why? Yeah. Why are people, having thought about it, using their brains, would vote for Donald Trump when there is a viable alternative? It just absolutely mystifies me, because none of those people in the dirt-poor flyover states in America did well under Trump's leadership, and nor will they expect to do well if he gets in again. Trump isn't interested in those people. He praises people who praise him and who give him millions of dollars. That's all you need to know about Donald Trump. There really isn't anything else.
But I tell you the one thing. No, I mean it really is two different worlds. But the thing that has amazed me and pleased me no end. Notwithstanding that the Labour Party have a slight issue with this winter heating allowance thing. Yeah. It's that the Harris campaign are actually using the Ming vase theory, yeah?
Are they?
That Keir Starmer...
Right.
Well, let me
Well, they haven't posted any policy yet. Well, I'm not sure that's entirely right. They have shown us the direction of travel, but she's only just taken the stage. Yes.
No, but you mark my words. The whole of the Labour election team and Starmer's right-hand man, they're out there. So, well, they've been out there through the last 5 days at the
Are
Congress.
you sure? I wouldn't think the Americans would be interested in taking lessons from British politicians.
Seriously, Harris was extremely impressed with the Labour campaign, and she's invited the whole of the Labour election organisation, party, the election organisation over. They've been there for 5 days, and they're going to be there and advising ongoing. And if you look at it, Nick, it is literally a carbon copy of the Labour campaign. Broad brushstrokes. You don't get engaged in stupid interviews with stupid interviewees or interviewers, and you keep your nose absolutely clean. And she's doing it exactly the same as the Labour did. Look it up. Mark my words.
I most certainly will not look it up, Malcolm, because that sounds very much like homework, and I don't do that. All right, good work. Thanks a lot, mate. Got to go. 0345 6060 973. Of course, there was one star who did not show up to the Democratic National Convention. People were very upset. I'll come to that in a minute. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC. Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbott. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Listen to him. He knows everything.
So Beyonce fans flooded the internet with fury. They were very, very angry after she was rumoured to be performing at the Democratic National Convention, but did not show up.
What?
Speculation swirled that the pop megastar would appear to endorse Kamala Harris for president and sing for the convention crowd on Thursday night. Hey, maybe she would have done that. This ain't Texas. Woo! This ain't Hold'em. Ah. Love that song. But she didn't. You believe that? Other people who did not show up include, but are not limited to, Bob Dylan, Fleetwood Mac, all four Beatles, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, and that guy that sang American Pie. Bill! Didn't show. Hours before Harris's nomination speech, TMZ claimed, no less an august institution than TMZ, claimed that Beyonce was indeed the guest star after letting the Harris campaign use her song Freedom in its ads. Well, you know what? Donald Trump uses, weirdly, YMCA by the Village People to do his weird dad dance that weirds everyone normal that sees it. And, weirdly, the Village People don't show up to his events just because he uses it to have what looks like a slow-moving heart attack. Speculation swirled that the pop megastar would appear to endorse Kamala Harris for president and sing for the convention on Thursday night. And the internet was alight with people saying that she would be there. Hang on. Just had to have a little cough there. Speculation swirled. The internet was alight with people saying that Beyonce would be there. Misinformation on the internet. Can you believe that?
No.
It's unclear exactly how the rumour started, says the news report. Well, I think it's actually pretty clear to me. Beyonce, you would think, would be for Kamala. The Democrats used her song at their rallies. Very small crowds at these rallies. My crowds are much, much bigger. Even though there were fewer people at my crowds, they were definitely bigger. Everybody says so. And people put 2 and 2 together and got 6 million, like this guy.
And 1, 2, 2,
3,
6 million.
No, that's not right. It's easy to do, though, isn't it? And so far so silly, but then a representative from the weird piped up. A Republican spokesmodel, J.P. Freer, suggested that the Democrats tricked people into watching the Democratic convention with the Beyonce rumour. Yeah. That's why people watch that convention. A rumour that Beyonce would be there. Those Democrats are so tricky. Let's have Glasgow. David.
Hi, Nick. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
We got a laugh. Listen, they got Stevie Wonder. What the hell they're moaning about? I would rather listen to Stevie than Beyonce anyway, though I do admire her work.
Yes. But Stevie Wonder's a raving genius.
Oh, I love him. I love the guy.
Yeah.
And as for Jimmy, I'll come to him in a minute.
Okay.
But listen, Nick.
Yes.
You have to talk to the powers that be at LBC. Jonathan from Harrow has to get his own show. He's okay, admittedly, it's going to be a niche audience with guys with BMWs and down to the last 20k.
Yes.
But there's scope for expansion, don't you think?
Well, there are 24 hours in the day. Let's fill some.
Right.
He could be my sidekick. I mean, he practically is already.
Oh, I'm not advocating he takes your slot.
I'm not saying that he would take my slot. I'm saying that he would, just take some of the heavy lifting off me. I mean, maybe he could do the 11 to 12 hour, and I could do the 10 to 11, and then come back for the last hour. How's that sound?
Well, you're going to start a civil war, aren't you?
In fact, I've thought about that. Let me think that out again. I'll do the first 2 hours, and he can do the last one, and I'll go home early. There you go.
Everybody's happy.
HAPPY-ness all about. No doubt it.
The other thing, Nick, was I caught on the news bulletin with the sound down when I was listening to it. Just got the tail end of this news bulletin of tents blowing all over this Leeds festival.
Uh-huh.
And immediately took me back to Isle of Wight 1970, which was the one and only time I got to see Jimmy.
Oh, yeah.
Because 3 weeks later he was dead, unfortunately.
Wasn't that the one that the Who were at?
That's right. And the debut gig for ELP.
Really?
Yep.
Blimey. And the kind of lineup...
Not forgetting Tiny Tim.
Was he tiptoeing through the tulips?
Exactly, he was.
Yeah. And so that's the lineup that you saw at the Isle of Wight. And, the Isle of Wight, it comes and it goes, and it always looks so disappointing to me. I mean, it's like, maybe all people say this sort of thing when they get older, but it seems to me an undeniable fact, David, that music was better when we were young.
I'm not going to contest it.
I wouldn't think that you would, no. The Who and Jimi Hendrix and ELP all on the same lineup.
I have to tell you that Jimmy didn't come on till 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
After I discovered my sleeping bag was on fire. And it was starting to rain. Right.
Jimi Hendrix hadn't used your sleeping bag as part of his stage act, has he? He didn't set that alight as opposed to another guitar. But listen to this. This is what those poor people in Leeds, as though they haven't suffered enough, those poor tenting people in Leeds, this is what they had to look forward to this evening. Liam Gallagher was top of the bill. I mean, I ask you.
Well, can I stop you right there?
Yeah, okay then.
Yeah. You described him perfectly. He goes on. I used to play in bands years gone by, but bye. It looks like the mic stand's been set far too high for him.
He thinks it looks cool or hard. Actually, everything that he does seems to be in an attempt to look hard.
Well, I realise guys do put on a persona on stage. I take that.
Yeah.
But my God, I think he is that guy. You know, he sticks his chin out. It's like there's a bubble coming out of his mouth, like a cartoon, saying, "Yes, you loathe me. Wouldn't you like to punch me?" No, I'm not advocating violence.
No, we're not advocating violence. No.
Absolutely not.
Catfish and the Bottlemen, which is, I'm reliably informed by Nathan, who's texted, Catfish and the Bottlemen is the name of one band, not two separate bands. They're pretty good. Giving them a listen can be your homework. You might think their album is better than Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. And who is this band called Pendulum you're on about?
Pendulum, yeah, they were on this afternoon, apparently. Do they not sound like they should be on tour with Gong? Yes.
Oh, I saw David Allen and Gong, actually. They were, it was an acquired taste, I suppose.
Yeah, most definitely. And most people didn't acquire it, no.
True.
But that's the lineup that some of them missed today because of the weather. I think they had a lucky escape. But what do I know?
My passing comment, Nick, is regarding Kamala.
Yeah.
I hope she's had a good look at the videos, playbacks, when Hillary Clinton was up against Trump in debates.
Oh, yeah, he just did not shut up, did he?
Well, you probably remember the one where he said, "You should be in jail."
Yes.
Yeah, well, I've no doubt she's been well prepped on this. But trust me, he's going to come out all guns blazing, and God knows what.
Well, we do know exactly.
You pretty much know what he's going to say, don't you?
Of course you do, down to the last syllable, because he only has one act, and he only does one thing, and so they know exactly what he's going to say at any given moment, and none of it's going to be true. All she has to do is just unpick him to his constituent molecules and leave him like a bubbling mess on the floor. That's all we want.
I'm sure she will.
Yeah, I'm sure she will too, yeah. All right, there's something to look forward to. Good work. Thanks a lot, David. Cheers. Ta-da. 0345 6060 973. Peter text, did you observe the large orange-coloured moon this week by any chance? Yes, I did.
Yowza.
It was incredible. Had a massive, massive moon. It was at its perigee, which I think you'll find is accurate. And it was coloured pink, a really vibrant pink, apparently by the smoke from Canadian wildfires. Can you believe that?
No.
True. He said, Peter says, do you reckon it might have been caused by the sun's rays reflecting off Donald Trump? Yeah. No, I don't think so, no.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
This is absolute tosh.
Are you trying to tell me that this is your act?
Yeah, sadly, yes. So something that I mentioned a while ago and I didn't get around to talking about was a cycling race in Wales. A cycling race in Wales has been shortened and rerouted due to the country's new 20-mile-an-hour default speed limit, according to the event's organisers. The Junior Tour of Wales, which was set to begin today, has seen, or yesterday actually now is specifically, has seen changes to 3 of its 5 stages as support vehicles would struggle to keep up with the riders without exceeding the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. The race's finish, originally planned for a place in Carmarthenshire that I can't pronounce, has also been moved. The Welsh Government said that it collaborated with race organisers to ensure the event could proceed safely. Race organiser Richard said, "A Welsh Government scheme designed to enable cycle races to manage race and public safety through 20-mile-an-hour zones has failed, leaving us with a major problem. Even though there was only 7 miles of the 20-mile-an-hour limit across the whole 237-mile 4-day race, and even then split into a number of very short sections, we couldn't guarantee to manage all of them safely. The new speed limits apply to vehicles, but not cyclists."
What?
I mean, it's very, very easy to go above 20 mile an hour on a bicycle. You just can. But the new speed limits apply to vehicles, but not cyclists, which would have made it difficult for support vehicles to keep pace with the riders. Well, you know what? We have some bike race or other seeming thing every blooming week here in London. They're always closing off the centre of town for some blooming race or other. And that means no cars. And you can't drive anywhere near the place. But, you know me, I never complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
So couldn't they just make an exception for the race cars just this once? The 20-mile-an-hour policy was introduced in September last year, and they've been complaining and complaining ever since.
Stop whining.
I mean, really, it's pretty much all that you hear from Wales. The sound of complaints about the 20-mile-an-hour policy. And the promise the promise was that it would lead to fewer collisions and fewer people injured. Anybody remotely interested in fewer collisions and fewer people getting injured? No. They just wanted to drive faster, and that's that. Damn it. It's seen fierce opposition from the Conservatives.
Oh, fabulous.
Who branded it a waste of time and resources. And if there's anyone who knows more about wasting time and resources, it's the Conservatives, eh, Bodge?
I can't comment on that.
Mm-hmm. Wales Transport Secretary Ken admitted the policy was so unpopular, even his own family had signed the petition against it. And vandalism of 20-mile-an-hour signs and a petition with over 500,000 signatures opposing the policy has been collated. I mean, is it me, or are people just losing their minds over this 20-mile-an-hour thing? I mean, those zones are everywhere now. All you've got to do is just don't go over 20 mile an hour. That's all. It's not that hard. But it seems to be impossible for a certain type of person. Wales Transport Secretary Ken said the policy was unpopular. Vandalism of the 20-mile-an-hour signs is taken place. A policy that makes towns nicer to live in for pedestrians, which every car driver becomes the moment they get out of their vehicles. You're not a driver or a pedestrian. You're both. People blasting up and down built areas and down tiny, windy country lanes isn't good. Life's better for everyone if we slow down. But as you can't politely ask people not to be jerks, you've got to have rules, and I think it's a pretty good one. It's just that I'm the only person that I ever see obeying it. I'm a good boy, I am. Everybody else, though, is doing their nut. Even though you're passing signs on the road, actually painted on the road that says 20, huge letters as big as a car. And you'll pass signs on the side of the road that says 20. They're not there just to pretty the place up. It means something. But only to me. I had to correct somebody going home from work last weekend. Because there's this long stretch of 20 mile an hour. And right now, if you've got, what do you call them, the cruise control. Now, my car is over 10 years old, and it's got cruise control, so yours probably has too. You just put on cruise control at 20 mile an hour, and then, just put your brain in neutral and relax and float downstream. It makes it a much more pleasurable and relaxing experience.
Yowza. But
not for anybody else it don't. Because they're busy having a purple fit behind me because they have a very, very busy schedule. They've got places to be at 1 o'clock in the morning. They're late for their next appointment. And quite often people blast by me and then take the next right turn 20 yards up the road to drive into an all-night burger place. I've seen that so many times. Be tailgating and tailgating and tailgating, and then they blast by me only to stop about 30 yards ahead. So anyway, this guy was, oh God, it was so annoying. And I find my head, like, going forwards away from them behind me. It's sort of instinctual, I guess, away from the danger. Because if somebody's breathing down your neck, which is what it feels like, you want to sort of physically move away from them. But as I can't drive faster away from them, because I'm a good boy, I am, and I'm obeying the speed limit, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Then my physical being, I find myself hunched over my steering wheel, trying to physically get as far away from them as possible. And he would not back off, flashing me to go faster. Past signs, past traffic speed cameras, which with 20 written on them. And so we got up to the next lights, and I did something foolish. I rolled my window down and had a conversation with him.
Warning!
And he looked at me like he had absolutely no idea what I was talking about. As though nothing that had happened between him and me over the past 5 miles of continuous tailgating had even registered with him. He didn't even know he was doing it. Or he didn't know that what he was doing was wrong. I'm assuming that nobody had ever told him otherwise. So I corrected him. And I used builder's language.
Disgusting.
Can you believe that? Which probably means that I should be in jail. But I just hope that, in some small way, I have made the world a better place and he will think twice about doing it again. But I doubt it. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah, this Welsh cycling race. It's the vandalism of the 20-mile-an-hour signs are being cheered by those on the right. Have you noticed that? In much the same way as those... They call them Blade Runners. I don't quite know why. But they're the ones that are cutting down the congestion zone cameras. Now, I don't know what a congestion zone camera costs, but knowing the council and their or the government in general and their lack of concern about how much things are, shall we go ahead and assume that they're 10 grand each? I'm just going to guess £10,000 each. And you got these people who are being cheered on by the right wing, even in the right wing media, in established newspapers that you'll find in your local newsagents. Or online on websites. And they're cheering these guys on. And every time they knock one of those down, we poor dopes who pay taxes are going to have to pay someone to go and put them back up again. And in what other field would these right-wingers be cheering somebody who is destroying public property? No such thing exists. Just this. And the reason is because they picked a side. Because they're right-wingers, and they don't care what they're voting for, just as long as it upsets the libs, the wokey-cokies.
Okie dokie.
Those people. Anyway. Boy racers are macho men, and women, by the way, because they're just as bad. they're going to have to just have their Formula One driving fantasies sated in some other way that's less detrimental to everybody else around them. Just get used to it. Stop complaining, for crying out loud. But they won't. As though driving at 30 is their right. And, of course, if it was the 30-mile-an-hour zone, they would be driving at 40. The Junior Tour of Wales, which began in 1981, will this year see 100 riders start the race in... Blimey. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 letters, only one of which is a vowel.
What?
So, no, I won't. They start the race in a place that begins with B, a place that is cruelly denied enough vowels before passing through Pembrey County and the park in Carmarthenshire, and concluding with a final stage in Monmouthshire. That's on Monday. And both of those places I feel pretty confident in pronouncing.
Correct.
I do believe I got those right. And, of course, there are people who are very, very upset about this. They've had to change the route and foreshorten it somewhat because it goes through 20-mile-an-hour speed limit areas, which is fine for the bikes because they don't count. But the cars trying to keep up with the bikes... I mean... You'd think that just by arrangement they would have allowed that. Just close the roads off and let them drive at any blooming speed they want. And then once all the bikes are gone, then you open it back up again to, the usual local crazes. There's a landlady of a hotel in that place that I can't pronounce who says it's disappointing that the race will not be able to follow its usual route, as it always has, as there's been an attention and... she was very confused when she said this. She said, it's disappointing the race will not be able to follow its usual route as it has always been an attraction that has drawn attention and support from the local community. Right. Got there in the end. She says, we have a number of aspiring young cyclists in the area and the completion of the race here allows them to witness an amazing event firsthand, an opportunity that will now be missed. Yeah, but it's still in Wales. They can travel to the event. Those aspiring young cyclists could go there on a bike. The Welsh Government said the priority for any race is always to ensure that it is safe for all participants and other road users in accordance with police highway authority requirements, which does make them sound rather like a member of the constabulary. I don't know why they all speak like that. They just do. Welsh Cycling has supported the lower speed limit for its benefits to road safety for cyclists, but acknowledged the challenges it presents for organising road races. Just close the road. Let the cyclists go past with their support cars and at whatever speed they like. And then slam down the 20-mile-an-hour restriction before the Lewis Hamilton wannabes get behind the blacked-out windows of their tiny-engined hatchbacks. Problem solved. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on WhatsApp, it's the same number as the phone. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC. LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Everything is going extremely well.
You bet your life it is. Adam says, wouldn't the old age pensioners, these are the people who are potentially going to suffer if the fuel allowance, the winter fuel allowance, is cruelly removed from them. And I don't believe that the Labour Party are actually going to go ahead and do this. I think it's just something that they put out there, see what happens, and they're going to change their minds. Betcha, betcha, betcha. They'll find the money somehow, honey. Adam says, wouldn't the old age pensioners have a claim with the European human rights to protect their winter fuel allowance? Oh, they voted to leave. 3 exclamation marks. Well, the European Court of Human Rights doesn't have anything to do with the European Union, even though it's got Europe in it. Boo! And whether they would have a claim with the European Court of Human Rights about their winter fuel allowance is something I don't know. But they did vote to leave, yes. It would be an amusing coincidence if old age pensioners could have a claim with the Europeans' human rights to protect their winter fuel allowance, given that they voted to leave the European Union. So you got the kernel of an idea there, Adam, but I think the performance leaves something to be desired. Better luck next time. Mark says, as a fan of nature, I wanted to get your thoughts on the 10-year conservation project to save the fen raft spider from extinction in Norfolk. It can walk on water and grow to the size of a rat. What? I say nuke the site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure, says Mark. Absolutely. Let's get it done. I mean, there ain't nothing out there in Norfolk anyway. It's just fields for as far as you can see. No one's going to miss it. It can walk on water and grow to the size of a rat. Well, which bit of it is the size of a rat? Not its body, surely. It can't be. Although I have seen a spider that does have a body as big as a rat. But fortunately, that was in Australia, which nobody should visit.
Correct.
That is just a fact. John says, any film recommendations? How can I fill my day? I focused so hard on hating the Tories. Now I have nothing to now I have nothing to do. Well, it's a shame when somebody cruelly takes your hobby away from you, isn't it? Seems unfair, really. You could still continue to hate them, I suppose. I mean, there's much to be hated about them.
My name's Dominic Raab, and I'm a Tory.
Yeah, I totally believe you. And then there's this guy.
86%, 5 million, and of course, over 50%. And what I'm saying is an additional 162 million. And that comes, by the way, on top of the 500 million.
On top of the 500 million. Oh, well, you should have said that right at the beginning. Because to an ordinary listener, it might have sounded to you as though you were just making that stuff up. Were you making that stuff up?
So obviously, but I know certainly.
Is there any of that feeling coming back to you, John? Might by giving you another day of focusing on your hate for people in
this government,
that government. Or this guy.
The great big greedy nincompoop.
The great big greedy nincompoop. Are you feeling energised yet, John? Or still listless? How about this one?
We have never had it so good.
I mean, if that doesn't put your hairs on edge, I don't know, on end, I don't know what will. Any film recommendations? Well, I just saw The Godfather 1 and 2, which were very good, but not quite as good as I remember them. There's, I mean, I guess if I sat there and thought about them, how each one ends, then it's best to see them as a piece. And it was very, very good, but there was this, I don't know, it wasn't quite as perfectly delivered as I remember it. Maybe it's an expense thing. Maybe you didn't have the money to really make, particularly the first one, to really make the first one sing. Matty says, Pendulum were big at the raves a couple of years back. Is that a fact? Regarded to blast the Prodigy out of the water. They were a rock band with a heavy drum and bass beat from what I remember, says Matty. From what he can remember through the fog. Pendulum. Well, that's a terrible name for a band like that. It really is. Pendulous, ponderous, Pendulum. They have to change their name. Think of something else. Anything else would be better than that. Karen says, how many more of these have I got? Wait a minute, let me just check. Oh, lots. Lots and lots and lots. This is the thing with anybody under the age of, shall we say, 40 years old. Nobody wants to phone anyone anymore. I have mentioned this several times, and it should cause a certain amount of concern in the mind of people who do the talk format on the radio. Because people just don't want to phone each other anymore. I mean, people get a phone call on their phones and they receive it with alarm, as though somebody's just burst in their front door. What's this? Somebody is calling me and they didn't text me to ask me if they could call me. So I think that this format may die out because the young people just don't use their phone to talk to people. I don't think they really use their... I'm maybe overstating it, but it doesn't look to me as though they actually do much communicating at all, except for through their thumbs. Which is okay if you're giving somebody a thumbs up, but if you're just waggling at your screen all day long, then I think you have an issue. You've got a problem. Karen says, Nigel Farage was in Clacton for the yearly air show. It was lashing down in great British summer fashion and low cloud, so lots of planes couldn't take part. I blame Meghan Markle. No! Is there nothing that dreadful woman will not do to ruin our summer? Hey, Nigel Farage is off to Arizona. Can you believe this? He's off to Arizona.
What?
Yeah, I know. I'll get to that in a minute. So much to talk about, so little time. Yeah, I can't talk about that right now because I'll be abutting the news, and I hate that. Clive says the ceasing of the winter fuel allowance is just the start of a slippery slope. Don't forget that the state pension has been classed as a benefit for some years now. So next, the state pension will be means tested. Well, is there a good reason why it shouldn't be? I mean, some pensioners are millionaires. Is there a good reason why the rest of us should support them, or should it actually be the other way around? But having said that, I do think that the state pension in this country is shockingly low. How successive governments have been able to get away with paying pensioners, pretty much the only people who vote such a small amount of money is, it's testament to the lack of information that pensioners have about how others of their ilk are treated in other countries. I think that the successive governments have relied on pensioners not knowing how much the state pension is abroad. And you don't have to go very far. I mean, you could see countries from here that have better state pensions than we do. I mean, transformatively better. It seems to me that if you put all of the money that somebody who worked all their life into a private pension, and that private pension paid out as dismally badly as the state pension is doing, then all of those fund managers would get fired out of a cannon. But we just put up with it. Chris says, I think that by hitting pensioners on winter fuel, Labour are preempting the horrified cries of the super-rich when they get hit for some extra tax, which will have zero effect on their lavish standard of living. Yeah, I don't think it makes the slightest bit of difference. You can point the super-rich in the direction of people who are having a dreadful time, and it will not affect them at all. It won't penetrate their unfeeling wall of money. They don't care. I mean, what more evidence do you need that people who have more money than they could possibly spend in 10 lifetimes spend almost, it seems, all of their waking hours trying to figure out ways to not pay any tax, up to and including leaving the country that they're supposed to be patriotic about. Varun says, I live in Dubai. It's been a cold summer here. I seriously doubt that. I'll read on and he'll give us the gruesome details. He says, I live in Dubai. It's been a cold summer here. The temperature hasn't passed 48 degrees centigrade and has generally been a temperate 42. That said, I'm looking forward to winter. I cannot imagine living in that penetrating I mean, I just can't imagine it. I can't imagine going there on holiday. I don't think I'd go on holiday if I won a holiday there. I'd ask them if I could swap it for something else. Dubai. What do you want to live there for? 48 degrees centigrade. You live your entire life in a chilled fog of air conditioning. Why would you want that? It's madness that anybody lives there at all. And Cheryl says, Trump was allowed to get away with insurrection, so don't you think he will be confident that he can try to steal the elections with corruption? Well, I think he's relying on it. Otherwise, he may go to jail. Lose all of his business interests, lose all of his friends and backers. They'll drop him like a used Kleenex.
Disgusting.
Which is going to be some surprise to him, because nobody's ever done that to him before. It's normally the other way around. But actual billionaires, they're going to just drop him like he doesn't matter anymore.
I make $400 million a year, so what difference does it make?
Sure you do, Donny. Sure you do. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. WhatsApp us on the same number as the phone number, 0345 6060 973. And email nicka@lbc.co.uk. Blimey, look at the time, 12:30. The news headlines with Tim Daly.
Leading Britain's conversation, Nick Abbot. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Some nobody.
0345 6060 973. Heston in Middlesex. Hello, Isaac.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Right. One topic, three things.
Mm-hmm.
Nigel Farage, Liz Truss. I was going to give Theresa Coffey a mention, but I thought, oh, God.
Oh,
no.
So, you can only take so much at one time.
I know, so I changed it. So the third topic will be the Grosvenor family. Okay? Right. Anyway,
Can I request the Therese Coffey one instead? But go on, let's see how we do.
Okay. Nigel Farage. Right. I'm not picking on any of these people. In actual fact, I find them all a fascinating study. It really is.
Yes.
I mean, it's become a bit of a hobby and an obsession.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people like that. So I'm not picking on them. Nigel Farage, right? As you mentioned correctly, he's got about 7 jobs. Okay, right. Don't forget, right. On top of those 7 jobs, on top of that, he's got his European Union pension. Don't forget that.
Oh, yeah.
Which
for all that hard work that he did as an MEP, not showing up for anything apart from filing his expenses. Yeah.
That's right. Now I'll check the website again to make sure I'm correct. But what is it? I think it said something like he was. They were going to people who get the European pension as a result of being MEPs and all that were on, was it 12,000 a month, right? And they were in danger of getting a 50%, was it 40 or 50% pay cut? You know, so. But I'll check that again and come back to you next week.
It's completely unnecessary to check things, Isaac. All you need to do is just say it out loud and it becomes true.
That's right. Okay. Next one, Liz Truss. Now, after you mentioned her book reviews, okay, I thought I'd check out the book reviews myself because I'm a big Amazon user, right? And I was looking through the ebook and the print book, and she had a lot of positive reviews. You know, a lot of positive. And one of them, right, was from a guy called Ian Dale. I'm thinking, what? Mm-hmm. Ian? What? Not the Ian Dale of LBC. Surely not, I thought. Anyway, his review was, his last word was unputdownable. So there you go. Ian Dale. Yeah, that's what I thought. Look, I'll check it again. Right, I'll check it again. I thought unputdownable. Really?
Unpickupable, more like.
Anyway, and the final one, the Grosvenor family. Now, yesterday I was watching. Like I said, I enjoy the study of money, power, and how the few at the top, get all the money while the rest of us get so little. Right? I saw a YouTube video on the Grosvenor family, right, who own half of London. So I thought, okay,
only the nice part.
Apparently, yes, that's right. Because they had a big. They built. West of London after the fire of London? They built Mayfair, west of London.
Yes, where it was all fields with animals running about that they could take a pot shot at. All sorts of things.
Right. And then it says, I mean, it all started with William the Conqueror. Apparently, his family line in England started with the victory of William the Conqueror in 1066.
Oh, and I think is this history?
Boring. Okay, all right.
Because I'm sitting at the back, just looking out the window, just waiting for it to be over.
Well, don't worry. I think after the fire of London, he married. I've forgotten the lady's name now. He married some rich lady, right? And he got a massive dowry, and which I think was large parts of London.
The reason that these families have maintained their position in society and have maintained their wealth down the generations is that, by and large, aristos aren't subject to the same kind of tax as we little people are, not leprechauns.
The little people.
Us lot.
That's right.
We pay 40% on anything over 350,000. The Duke of what's his name?
Westminster.
It's not the Duke of Westminster, is it? It's the Duke of anyway, him. He inherited something of the order of 10, I don't know the exact number, so I'm just going to make it up. 10 billion pounds he inherited on the death of his dad. He paid nothing at all. Neither, by the way, did the king on receipt of all the hundreds of millions of pounds from Her Majesty. He didn't pay a penny on that either. But we do. That's why we ain't got no money, and money does not cascade down our family tree, whereas it does down the family trees of those who are already rich.
Absolutely. I saw another video as well in my fascinating hobby and study. It said, right, I didn't watch it yet because I was but it said only poor people pay taxes.
Yeah.
I thought, what?
Taxes are for the little people. Yeah,
that's right.
That's what a woman called Jocelyn Wildenstein said. Do you remember Jocelyn Wildenstein?
No.
Well, I'm going to give you homework, Isaac, and I want you to.
Jocelyn
before you look her up, I want you to sit down and grip onto something firm because you are about to be alarmed. All right?
Jocelyn
Wildenstein. Now,
Wildenstein.
Yeah, don't come back to me and say that you've suffered mental anguish by looking at a picture of her, because I have warned you. You have been warned.
Jocelyn. Okay, then fine. Yeah. And finally, to end, I remember years ago. I think it was the 90s. Hungarian American actress Zsa Gabor.
Oh yeah, Zsa Gabor. Mm-hmm.
Was sent to jail because she said to the court, only little people pay taxes. I think the judge sort of says, right, you're going to jail.
No, I think that again, that's Jocelyn Wildenstein, whose picture you can look up at your leisure. Maybe not before you go to bed. First thing in the morning is probably better, and then you could spend a few hours getting over it.
Okay,
I think Zsa Gabor. Yes, thanks. I think Zsa Gabor went to jail for hitting a police person, didn't she? Something like that. I can't remember why she did that. But I'm just looking at a picture of Jocelyn Wildenstein. Oh my God! Wow. Okay, now I'm going to have to delete that off my phone. I'm going to have to delete my history, and I'm going to have to delete my cookies because I don't want her picture showing up, wherever I start looking on the internet. Damn, shouldn't have done that. It's going to be popping up everywhere. Talk about cat ladies. 0345 6060 973. Let's have Pembrokeshire. Hello, Chris.
Hi, good morning.
Chris.
This is following on from the Beyonce item.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know whether you picked it up. In the last couple of days, Trump has reposted some fake social media messages and said, following these, that Taylor Swift has endorsed him.
Yeah.
she hasn't, of course.
No.
So he's now entered battle with the Swifties.
Which is probably not a good move because Swifties are very, very emotional and large in number.
Absolutely. And also pretty politically active, and also the ideal voting age, some of them, in their early 20s and so on.
The kind of people that don't normally go out to vote, yes. So it would require, and to be honest, I've got absolutely no idea about Taylor Swift. I've not knowingly ever heard any of her music. I mean, I suppose I might have done, just in passing, walking down the street and it would be blaring out of somebody's house. But I could not tell you what she does. But then I'm not her ideal demographic.
Absolutely. Well, one thing she has done, however, is run a large campaign to get people to register to vote.
Right.
And I understand from that there are tens of thousands of people have registered following this campaign.
And she did this last time, though, didn't she? And it didn't have the required effect, because it's okay to register to vote, but then you've got to actually go and vote.
Absolutely, yeah. I think this time, though, just from looking at the beginnings of the groundswell here, the Swiftie army may be on the move.
Yeah, yes. And I just opened my phone to see what the polling was, and of course I opened it on the same page that I left it on just moments ago, and there's a picture of Jocelyn Wildenstein again.
Oh, no.
It is absolutely terrifying.
Well, that'll keep you awake for the rest of your shift.
Yeah, it really will. Yeah, good work. Thanks a lot, Chris. Ta-da. 0345 6060 97. I've got to look something else up. I'll look up US polls just to get her face off my screen and see what the latest are. See what the latest is. Ooh. Oh, Donna's going to be so upset. Good grief. Latest polling average over a moving 10-day period as of the 22nd of August. Donald Trump is on 45.3% and Kamala Harris is on 48.4%.
What?
48.4 to 45.3. He is going to have to do a lot of stealing to try to close that gap.
Don't be rude.
A lot of stealing, Donnie. A lot. And it just exploded, the difference between them, and has remained pretty much the same. After people got used to Kamala Harris, after about a week, after Joe Biden dropped out, the difference between them has stayed pretty much the same. 48.4 for Harris and 45.3 for Trump. Of course, doesn't necessarily mean that if you get more votes, then you win that race because of the screwed up system they got over there. Because crooked Hillary Clinton actually gained, I think it was 3 million more votes than Donald Trump, and lost anyway. But, fingers crossed. For the future of the world, fingers crossed. People of America, come into the light.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Come on, we're running late.
We are running late. Dave texts, you covered Banksy last week. We did, yeah. We talked a lot about Banksy and how I am mystified that out of all of the people that could have been chosen by the art world to be successful, because that's how it works, really. I mean, it does seem to be like a ip-dip sky blue, really. I mean, some of the stuff that you see on gallery walls, you think, wow, this is just absolute preposterous nonsense. And then you look at the price, and it's £1 million. It's true. He says, you covered Banksy last week and about how people are pulling down walls to protect and keep his work. I also had a very expensive quote to knock down a garden wall, so I've stenciled on a monkey holding some balloons, and I'm just waiting for the wall to be taken away by some Banksy fans now. Don't work harder, work smarter, says Dave.
Correct.
That's right, Dave. Good thinking. Barry says, Trump's the best, Nick. Just think, no more wars. That seems to be like a common thread among his cult base, or his fans. Oh, there weren't any wars under Donald Trump when he was the president. Oh, yes, there were. I don't know how he and his fan club quite get away with saying that out loud, because there absolutely were. And it's not even as though he tried to damp down some of the wars that he inherited from the previous administration. This is from, let's see, this is from an article from Responsible Statecraft. Responsible Statecraft, Donny. Wouldn't know nothing about that.
Don't be rude.
It says, despite repeated PR stunts, Trump did not bring the troops home or end endless wars. In fact, Trump consistently added fuel to the fire, increasing troop levels, deepening reliance on private contractors, and dramatically scaling up aerial warfare. Where an end to the endless war requires repealing the authorizations for the use of military force, Trump expanded conflicts under both the 2001 and 2002 authorizations. His term saw 4 consecutive years of growth of an already out-of-control Pentagon budget and loosening even the minimal restrictions that were already in place. He expanded the United States' deadly and unaccountable drone wars. Not only did Trump not end the wars he promised to, he worsened them, dropped more bombs, stoked further conflict, undermined the prospects of peace, and massively increased the rate of civilian deaths. So that doesn't sound like a good thing. US support for the Saudi and United Arab Emirates-led intervention in the war on Yemen is one of the most egregious examples of destructive militarist foreign policy making in Trump's years. Not only did he do nothing to end US complicity, he repeatedly used his veto power to override bipartisan majorities in Congress that tried to stop US military involvement and block the flow of arms to the conflict. How does he get away with saying that there were no wars under his watch? Maybe he just wasn't paying attention. And people around him, those with evil intent, were actually conducting all of this while he waddled around the golf course. Do you remember at the beginning of it, before he actually became president, he said that I think he was criticising Obama. You remember Obama, don't you? He was criticising them because Obama once played a game of golf when he was president, and Trump said, I won't have any time for golf. I'm going to be busy. He did nothing but play golf. A-Golf Twitler, one of his nicknames. Trump's foreign policy was characterised above all by an aversion to diplomacy and knee-jerk reliance on hostility. Tell me that's not true. Doesn't do diplomacy. He does knee-jerk reaction to and relies on hostility. Hostility. He attacked diplomatic relations, torpedoed successful multilateral agreements like the Iran nuclear deal, tried to strong-arm other countries into doing his bidding through threatening rhetoric, military brinkmanship and suffocating sanctions. The result, not one single one of Trump's targets for hybrid warfare is any closer to doing his bidding now than when he started. And on multiple occasions, his hostile posture almost ignited all-out war. You had to be talked down from nuking Iran by, fortunately, there were grown-ups in the room. He shredded the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, withdrew from the Open Skies Treaty that ensured transparency between the US, Europe and Russia, failed to extend the New START Treaty with Russia, and he wanted to nuke hurricanes. Do you remember? Which is about as smart as injecting bleach to try to cure yourself of COVID. Nuke hurricanes in order to stop them. Somebody should look into that very strongly. And of course, he started a war at home, a civil war. But you know, apart from that, he was a great guy, and Americans should think twice before voting for the radical lefty, Marxist communist Kamala Harris. Just think about it, Americans. We're relying on you. Come into the light. Leave the dark. Move away from the dark side. Jack says, Trump's name is used a lot in our household. Every time my 3-year-old breaks wind, he says he's done a Donald. Declan says, Trump opens his mouth and lets it say what it likes. And lets it say what it likes. Yeah. And sometimes what it likes is to say bing bong. Bing bong. You know, just at random. Malcolm says, pronounce Farage to rhyme with disparage. I'll try that again. Pronounced Farage to rhyme with... No, I did it wrong twice. Pronounce Farage to rhyme with disparage, because that's all he ever does.
I'm a nutcase,
says Malcolm. Well, you may think that, Malcolm. I could not possibly comment.
Nigel Farage is not fit and proper to be in government.
You may think that, Nigel, but I could not possibly comment. Tyler says, Labour are a joke of a political operation. It's one of those unfunny jokes. Labour are a joke of a political operation. What is this optics for a new government? What is this optics for a new government? Absolutely terrible media and PR, and everything because Starmer's clique have no strong philosophical underpinnings aside from a blatant lust for for power and blame of the other. No, Tyler, you're thinking of...
this government.
Yeah, that lot. Terrible media and PR. We had media and PR.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
It went really badly for us. That's not what we want anymore. We want grown-ups. We want to be talked to like we're human beings. And that the people who are doing the talking are human beings, not robots.
Affirmative.
Who have been programmed with any old nonsense that the handlers could come up with. Just put a bunch of numbers up them and get them to spew them out all over the TV screen. No, that's the last thing we want, media and PR. And as for Starmer's clique have no strong philosophical underpinnings, what strong philosophical underpinning did this guy have?
I followed the ministerial guidance at all times. I followed the ministerial guidance at all times. I followed the ministerial guidance at all times.
I mean, come on. What are you talking about? We had 14 years of no strong philosophical underpinnings aside from a blatant lust for power and blame of the other. That's not Labour, Tyler. You're getting them mixed up. You are confused. Yeah, sort yourself out, mate. Mike says, I went to the local convenience store today and bought some lamb chops, which were in a locked cabinet. The assistant told me that theft is so brazen, they call the shop the food bank. People just go in and walk out with stuff, says Mike. well, I do believe that we ain't seen nothing yet, because I've just this week I saw clips of it looked like a barely organised riot. All these kids just descended on this store and and if there's 20 of them doing it at once, there's almost nothing that a store owner can do. And they just stripped the place. They actually sort of went shopping. It wasn't like a raid. They were just shopping without the paying part. So, yeah, where America goes, we tend to go at a distance behind, and we can't be too far away from that. I mean, I know we have had organised illegal shopping just recently, but all of those, or certainly most of the more famous ones, are currently doing time. Doing time for Nigel. Somebody should write a song. Now, if you missed any of this super show, I do believe that it gets squirted up the internet as a podcast. Now, the idea is that we take the news and most of the ads out. Mostly. Which means it takes less time to listen to. You'll use less electricity. And by that method, you can do your bit to save the environment. It's on Global Player. If you have not got Global Player, it's free. Get it from your App Store or globalplayer.com. Ask for it by name. It's Nick Abbot, The Whole Show Podcast. All 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 Show.
In the quiet of ancient halls, a book of secrets softly calls, pages filled with mystic lore, a guide to magic and so much more. Bound in wisdom, crafted fine, in every line enchantments shine. For those who seek the arcane's might, this tome reveals the hidden light. Arcane guide with knowledge deep, unlocking spells in shadows deep. In every test, it lights the way through trials faced by night and day.